So no story about the internet would be complete without a flame war. Our heroine of this novel, her name is Nelly. She's been involved in this time-honored tradition of exchanging insults electronically. And the part I'm going to read you, she's hunkering down, getting ready to have the last word. She's determined to win. This chapter is called The Most Eloquent of Insults. More insulting than Mr. Darcy's question to Elizabeth in Jane Austen's novel when he asked her, "Could you expect me to rejoice in the inferiority of your connections, to congratulate myself on the hope of relations whose condition in life is so decidedly beneath my own?" More eloquent than Faulkner's insult to Hemingway when he referred to him with a few choice words. He has never been known to use a word that might send a reader to the dictionary. More biting than Mark Twain's remark about a fantasy encounter with Jane Austen. Every time I read Pride and Prejudice, I want to dig her up and hit her over the skull with her own shin book. My next email to Blair is decidedly the more eloquent insult. A pure work of literary venom. It is, oh, so cleverly disguised as an apology and a thank you note. No doubt, Blair will be lulled into a prideful feeling of victory for a few seconds when he initially sees the subject line stating, "Thank you for the lesson." I could imagine his hazel eyes get wider and wider with surprise as he read the rest. That self-assured smile will get bent like a smashed car when he comes across my final punchline. It was about time somebody brought down that arrogant idiot by an inch or two, and I, Nelly, stepped up to the task. You would be justified to assume that I labored over that email for days and weeks. However, it was a bolt of inspiration that brought it into existence. I sat down and the writing flowed freely like the river Tifrat back at home. I wrote the whole letter in a single sitting and in less than an hour. When I was finished, I felt a sweet sensation of victory, like little butterflies tingling the bottom of my spine. I could imagine Blair pounding his fist on the table, muttering insults of the vulgar kind, and even smashing things. The one thing I don't expect is a reply. For what could he possibly come back with? He can't compete with my articulate expression. For him to send me back a common insult would be to admit defeat and forever declare his intellect a redundant appendage of a brain power that already ran near depletion. A letter of insult with greater eloquence was not possible, for my letter was already the perfect in that regard. Okay, I wasn't about to include the letter here, but for literary purposes only, I changed my mind. If you choose to borrow these words, please use them responsibly. This letter is a deadly weapon. Inflict only on those that deserve it. Subject line, thank you for the lesson. Dear Blair, back home we have a saying in our ancient language, أكبر منك بيوم أفهم منك بسنة. Translated to the one that is older than you by one day, understands a year worth more than you do, implying that older people have more knowledge. Well, I think that saying is nonsense. I have met many older people who didn't know what they were talking about. In fact, I have discovered that it is the younger people that we should try to learn lessons from. And you are a case in point. You see, I am a few years older than you, and I have learned so much from you by just meeting you once. For example, remember how you talked about landmines and snipers with regards to my country of origin? In my old traditional backwards days, I would have called that ignorance of facts. But now, thanks to you, I have realized that that is such a harsh and judgmental mentality that I live with. Thanks to you, I have learned that this is called liberal and creative bending of factual varieties. For who cares about current events when all can be mashed up into one? I did my best to tackle your ignorant comments by sharing my honest views. I assured myself that I was communicating with a mature and reasonable person, and that by doing my side of sharing, I was facilitating a discussion that allowed for depth. By not sharing, I was holding myself in a power position and not allowing you to form your own informed opinion about the matter. When I learned that you shared my emails with your roommates, I immediately jumped to conclusions and thought, what a silly teenager who behaves like he has never talked to a real woman with brains before. But now that I think about it, I realize I was very old-fashioned in my ways. This is not called immature behavior. This is called open-minded egalitarian sharing of pertinent information. When you forwarded our entire email conversation to your friends without asking my permission in the matter, the first word that popped in my mind was betrayal. Aha! Once again, I learned a new lesson on how my brain is wired the wrong way. Sharing private emails with others instead of having the decorum of allowing me to decide whether I want to discuss my own view on the matter is not betrayal at all. And decorum is an old fogey's word anyway. It is called enlightened oneness with the natural forces of nature. To you, respect is an odd sunny day in Seattle. But I grew up in the desert where it was sunny every day. But then every once in a while, a sandstorm would arise and hide the sun behind a yellow haze. During those days, I tasted sand in my mouth and my eyes stung in pain as the sand granules hit my corneas. Doctors prescribed relocation to asthma patients, for only the tough can survive when it's sunny every day. Look how green and beautiful Seattle is. Clearly, your model of the odd sunny day yields better results. After all, what do I know? I am a failure on so many fronts. Next to your varied talents, I can't help but stand in awe of your awesomeness. In fact, you are so splendidly great, the mortal words cannot comprehend your utter prominence. I can only wish that I would gain a fraction of your sense of importance. Here I am talking to you using your culture references, that dressed in Western clothing, and it is me who doesn't understand your culture. Yet you have been able to thoroughly understand my country of religion and declare yourself an expert in history without any effort at all. You don't know a single fact about my country. You never heard the name of any poets from my homeland, and you can't stand listening to 1 minute of our music. Nevertheless, you can expertly analyze my behavior in reference to the disturbed images you have seen in TV. Dude, you are incredible. One day I will be able to do that and forgo the burden of studying. So thank you for the valuable lessons. I can't wait for the next one. I wish you happy hand-induced sperm liberation while you write email sermons on freedom of speech and democracy as you view released from clothing images. You seem to be good at doing all three together, I mean. Tell all your friends that Nelly sends them her best wishes for a tender and sweet infiltrations up their rears. Sincerely, Nelly. Now, isn't that good? That is great. I only wish I could post that letter somewhere public so that everybody in the world could behold its greatness. One useful thing that came out of my flame war with Blair is that I no longer need to think about which website to hack into. The answer was now as obvious as the sun. My first hit will be on Craigslist, killing 2 birds with 1 stone, rubbing more salt into Blair's injury, and proving to the whole world that a good website design can improve all websites. Perhaps one day I will send Blair an actual thank you letter.